this coke mine?
Yeah. These legs are yours, too.
Hey, send me a leg.
Yeah, I'm going to. Right here. Are you all right? You look sick. You really look awful. Are you okay?
Pete.
What's wrong with him?
I think he's choking.
Well, do something. Don't you know what to do?
Choking can cause death in just 4 minutes. Each year, an estimated 4,000 Americans die in this way. Death by choking is caused by asphyxiation, as choking prevents breathing. The breathing or respiratory system is made up of these parts: the larynx or voice box, which is connected by the trachea or windpipe, which transports air to the lungs. The epiglottis forms a lid to the larynx in swallowing. During normal breathing, the epiglottis is open. During swallowing, it closes to prevent food from going into the windpipe as the food passes down the esophagus to the stomach. Choking occurs when a piece of food, candy, or even a plastic object gets under the epiglottis, or presses down on the epiglottis, keeping it closed. It thus blocks the top of the windpipe, so air cannot reach the lungs. The piece of food acts like a cork in a bottle, and air cannot reach the lungs or get out. The victim cannot breathe, and this prevents him from speaking. Thus, the important clue to recognizing a choking attack is that the victim cannot speak or breathe. Dr. Henry J. Heimlich, a leading specialist in esophagus surgery, has devised a simple first aid procedure, the Heimlich Maneuver, which has proven successful in saving the lives of choking victims.
It's very important to be absolutely certain the victim is choking and not suffering a heart attack. Remember, if someone is choking, you have only 4 minutes to save that person's life. You can be sure the victim is choking if you look for these symptoms. First, the choking victim cannot speak or breathe, but can nod the head. Ask, "Are you choking?" Should you still not be certain, ask, "Can you talk?" If the obstruction is complete, the victim cannot breathe. If the obstruction is not complete, you may hear a wheezing sound. A heart attack victim, on the other hand, can breathe and may speak or complain of pain. The choking victim cannot speak or breathe. Second, the victim turns blue. And third, collapses. That is, falls unconscious due to the lack of oxygen. The victim cannot speak, but should not panic or run away from people who could help. Choking victims should use, and people should recognize, this simple hand gesture to indicate, "I am choking." This sign, which has come to be called the Heimlich sign, communicates, "Help me, I am choking." Of course, if everyone learns the Heimlich sign, there will be no question that the victim is choking. The victim will be signaling for help, and the rescue can be performed immediately. However, should the victim not give the Heimlich sign, don't wait until all 3 symptoms appear before you use the maneuver that I'm going to teach you. In most cases, you will see the victim choke. Remain calm, but act immediately as soon as you recognize the first or second symptom. Do not wait until the victim collapses. Do not use mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. If you do, you will realize that your breath is blocked from entering the lungs. Do not give water to drink because the victim cannot swallow and the water will remain in the back of the throat. Sometimes it's possible to reach into the throat with your fingers and remove an obstructing object. This should only be done if the object is visible. If it can't be seen, do not attempt a finger probe. You may push the object deeper into the airway, changing a partial blockage of air into a complete obstruction. You may also waste valuable time. Remember, you must be sure the victim is choking on food or another object. Otherwise, by using the maneuver unnecessarily, you can cause injury. A wheezing sound indicates a partial blockage. As long as the victim is not in respiratory distress, encourage coughing and breathing. At this point, do not interfere. If the condition begins to worsen, then use the Heimlich maneuver immediately. It's not necessary to remove the clothing when performing the maneuver on an actual choking victim, but we're doing so in order to demonstrate the Heimlich maneuver more clearly. This is how you perform the Heimlich maneuver. Stand behind the victim. The rescuer places his or her arms around the victim's waist. Place your fist with the thumb side against the victim's abdomen, slightly above the navel and below the rib cage. Grasp your fist with your other hand. Press into the victim's abdomen with a quick upward thrust. Repeat the thrust until the object is expelled. There's always a large amount of air in the lungs. When you press here, you push upward on the diaphragm, compressing the air. The air flows out of the windpipe, similar to air being pumped from a bellows. This airflow pushes the object, causing it to pop out of the mouth, just as a cork pops out of a champagne bottle. If the victim is sitting in a chair, perform the maneuver in the same way from behind the chair. If the victim has collapsed or is too heavy to lift, place the victim on his or her back. Kneel astride the victim's thighs. Place one of your hands on top of the other and the heel of the bottom hand on the abdomen, slightly above the navel and beneath the rib cage. Press into the abdomen with a quick upward thrust. Repeat until the object is expelled. Should the victim bring up food from the stomach, turn him or her quickly on the side, face down, and wipe out the mouth so that food particles are not inhaled into the lungs. Whatever position is used, immediately after the rescue, the victim should be examined by a physician. Be careful not to place your hands too high, because you can injure the victim by compressing the chest. Your hands should always be on the soft part of the abdomen below the rib cage. Press into the abdomen using only your hands. In this manner, using a quick upward thrust. Do not punch, do not squeeze with your arms, or you may break the victim's ribs or cause serious internal injuries. To remember the proper technique, think of these words. The victim's life is in your hands. Practice the maneuver only under trained supervision. Let's go over the Heimlich maneuver once more. Place your fist with the thumb side against the victim's abdomen, slightly above the navel and below the rib cage. Grasp your fist with your other hand. Press into the victim's abdomen with a quick upward thrust. Repeat several times if necessary. If the victim is sitting on a chair, perform the maneuver in the same way from behind the chair. If the victim has collapsed or is too heavy to lift, kneel astride the thighs. Place one of your hands on top of the other and the heel of the bottom hand on the abdomen. Press into the abdomen with a quick upward thrust. Repeat the upward thrust until the object causing choking is expelled from the airway. If cardiac arrest occurs due to the prolonged lack of oxygen, apply usual resuscitative measures. There are precautionary measures that everyone can take to minimize the danger of choking on food. Cut your food into small pieces. Chew thoroughly, especially if you wear dentures. Things that may increase the possibility of choking are consuming alcohol before eating, laughing and talking while eating, and children running with food, candy, toys, or other objects in their mouths. But when a person does choke, the same techniques are used for men, women, and children. Very young children have been saved, but of course you must use much less pressure on children than on adults. Whatever the age of the victim, a strong rescuer should limit the amount of pressure used. Reasonable restraint is called for. If the rescuer is an older person, a slight woman, or a child, the victim should be placed face up. In this position, the pressure applied depends on the weight of the rescuer rather than the rescuer's strength. A pregnant woman should not practice the Heimlich maneuver. However, if she's choking, it should be used to save her life. In advanced pregnancy, you may have to perform the Heimlich maneuver on the breastbone. The maneuver may also be performed this way on extremely obese persons. Make sure pressure is not applied to the tip of the breastbone or the lower edge of the ribs. Otherwise, you could seriously injure the victim. If you are alone, you can perform the Heimlich maneuver on yourself by pressing your own fist into your abdomen. Or lean over the back of a chair and cause upward pressure on the abdomen. Use the edge of a sink, a porch railing, or any convenient firm edge. The effect is the same as when a rescuer applies the pressure. Drowning victims have been saved by the Heimlich maneuver after usual resuscitative measures have failed. Instances have been documented in which the Heimlich maneuver caused water to gush out of the mouth and the victim started breathing. It is not yet known whether this will become standard practice, but you should be aware of it. Place the drowning victim on his or her back. Kneel astride the thighs. The maneuver is the same as when a choking victim collapses. The quick upward thrust expels water from the lungs. It may also bring up stomach contents, which may have gotten into the windpipe. Standard measures of resuscitation may then be performed. Remember why the Heimlich maneuver works on choking victims. There is always air in the lungs, and the quick thrust applied just below the diaphragm forces the diaphragm upward. This movement compresses the air in the lungs. The flow of air pops the object from the windpipe like a cork from a bottle.
Pete, are you okay? Can you talk?
I know what to do.
Oh, that was really scary.
That was awful.
Will you be all right?
Yeah, I'm okay now.
Well, I think we still better get you to the doctor.
Judy,